In her last word, the murderous mother begged to be sentenced to execution, but she was kept alive, thereby condemning Natalia to torture. It was necessary to see how the Malinkin family went for a walk. In front of Gena with the eldest, 2-year-old Seryozhka, in the middle Natasha's wife with tiny Vitya. He had not yet been 2 months old, and behind, as a rear, as a family pillbox or bunker, mother-in-law with 1-year-old Lenochka. Idyll. The kids loved such walks. Seryozhka and Lena, for the fact that you can goof around, fool around. At home, especially not fool around, the scale does not allow. And little Vitya liked to go out for company, as a sign of brotherly solidarity. But most of all, Seryozhka, and especially Lena, liked to bathe in the bathtub. And with pleasure to watch then, as Mom scooped out the basin of water. They nicknamed this process cup, the sound of the basin scooping on the floor. That summer day, Mom told them, "Let's go to cup." And she repeated the magic word several times, so that they jumped out of bed quickly. Even Vitya did not shout and squeak as usual, apparently realizing the importance of the moment. He surprised his mother very much. She seemed to want to cry for a few moments, but held back. She just said, "Let's go." Sometimes Natasha envied herself. A family, a loving husband, children, who delighted everyone around her, just as long as they didn't jinx it. Even her mother-in-law was lucky. For all this time on, the daughter-in-law did not raise her voice, accepted as a native. They fell in love with each other immediately. And almost immediately they decided to get married, without any fiddling and supervision. Natasha was then working as a lab technician at one of the Yakutsk factories. Gena was also a mechanic. The wedding was noisy, according to the old-timers of the dormitory. They had not played such a wedding for a long time. Exactly a year later, Lenochka was born, and another year later, and again almost to the same day, Vitya. "Do you have them on a schedule?" joked at work. "Yep," Gena answered, "on the alarm clock." On that last morning, July 25th, the kids took the toys given to Seryozhka by his father, an inflatable ball and a rubber dragonfly to make swimming more fun. At first, Mom for some reason did not allow them to take with them, but then conceded, "Okay, say, just hurry up." She was in a hurry, pushing everything. Finally, they left the house. Mama took Vitya and Lena in her arms to go faster, and Seryozhka went behind, secretly jealous of absolutely undeserved, in his opinion, indulgences to the kids. About 10 minutes later, we made the first break. To the pond, according to his mother, it was a long way to go. For the sake of such a pleasure as cup, it was possible to be patient. And Seryozhka courageously endured. He even took off his shoes, so that it was easier to go. It's a pity that this manly deed was not seen by the younger ones. They didn't see anything at all. They were just sleeping. Soon after the birth of her daughter, Natasha received a letter from her mother. So come, she was very ill. Not thinking long, they went to the distant Chimkent. Her mother had a large 3-room apartment. There was enough room for everyone. At first they lived soul to soul. "Rightful he you have a man," more than once said Natasha, her mother. And Gena was glad to try. He made repairs, licked the apartment like a toy. However, soon as a cat ran, something cracked in his relationship with his mother-in-law. It all started with the fact that she began to Natasha, had all sorts of nonsense, according to Gena, to fill. At one time the mother joined the sect Jehovah's Witnesses and began to agitate her daughter, go and go. In the end, Natalia decided, came once to a prayer service, another, like it. Soon she began to go there like to work, in the morning and in the evening. Gena compelled his mother-in-law not to spoil his wife. "You do not understand," dryly cut off the mother-in-law. Everything ended in a scandal. The mother-in-law demanded that the son-in-law got the hell out. Gena agreed, so they ended up in Donetsk. On the train, Natalia told her husband, "We'll have a third." Gena got drunk on the train and spent all the cash they had at the time. They stopped every kilometer. Seryozhka was very tired, and Natalia was tired too. Try carrying two. Finally, they arrived. Natalia sat down and looked around. There were children playing on the nearby pond, and there seemed to be someone farther away. Again, taking Vitya and Lena, she went to the farthest pond, which could not even be called a pond. A swamp. Seryozhka whimpered, "I want to go where the boys are." The younger ones woke up, also a roar. I could barely calm them down. Half an hour later, we came to the pond. Approaching the water, Natalia scooped it up with her hand and grinned to herself. Water is like water. People were saying that this pond was dead, that no one lived here, that the water was bad. After standing there for a second or two, Natalia turned around and went to the children. And then there was an emergency, which, according to Natalia, is where it all began. Gena let his hands loose. Not a lot, more like for fun. Natalia got angry and warned her, "If it happens again, you'll regret it." On the eve of the terrible day, Natalia, once again meeting a tipsy husband, demanded, "Enough." "What? Not at all." He was surprised. "Not at all." Natalia cut him off. "Okay, I'll think at my leisure over a glass of tea," joked the husband. Taking Seryozhka by the hand, Natalia went down the hill with him, looked around, whether the children see, and entered the water without undressing. There she bent the baby and lay on him with her body. Seryozhka drowned at the same second. After lying on her son for a while until he subsided, Natalia pulled the body out of the water and carried it behind a nearby bush. Then, taking Vitya and Lena in her arms, she did the same to them. Having put the children together on the bank, she went up to the road, went to the nearby metallurgical plant gatehouse, and called the police. "Come, I drowned my 3 children." At the first interrogation, Natalia Malinkina stated, "I wanted to take revenge on my husband. He did not obey me." The investigators did not understand anything. Then nothing understood, and the lawyer, and the prosecutor, and the doctors who conducted at the insistence of the investigation forensic psychiatric examination, and even the court. I said, "Stop drinking. If he hit once, he will hit again," she explained during the interrogation. He started fooling around, joking in a nasty way. I warned him. All right. She was assigned several examinations, both the investigation and the court. Doctors examined her thoroughly, dug through all her medical records in Donetsk, Chimkent, Yakutsk, everywhere she lived and worked. The conclusion was categorical. Malinkina is absolutely sane. Her psyche is unusually stable and strong. This word cut the most. "When I saw what I had done, I wanted to drown myself," she said, sobbing at the trial. "And what prevented that?" The judge asked her head on. "It became frightening. They were floundering so terribly," she replied, looking down at the floor. The senselessness of the murder shocked the whole town. Malinkina was demanded to be torn to pieces, publicly burned, narrated in the central square. During the investigative experiments, when she was taken to the scene of the crime, she was constantly guarded by several machine gunners. Female lawyers who were to be entrusted with Malinkina's defense in full declared their resignation from the law firm in case they were forced to defend Say. The apartment where Gennady and his mother stayed is littered with photos. They are everywhere, on the walls, on the cabinets, on the tables. Seryozhka, Lena, Vitya. Most of the photos show them with their father and grandmother, and none with their mother. Gena cut her off, from the children and from her life. Her belongings piled in the corner of the garage, covered with a tarp. Neither Gena nor his mother touches them, like a leper's belongings. In the final judgment, the court asked the defendant to impose a harsher punishment than the prosecutor had requested, 15 years imprisonment instead of firing squad, so that, as the defense lawyer explained, she would suffer and repent all her life, so that every day she would go crazy about what she had done. In her last word, Malinkina turned to the judges and shouted, "I beg you, shoot me, give me a firing squad." After a long, very long deliberation, not until the next day, the court passed sentence. Natalia Malinkina was sentenced to 15 years in prison. She was given life, like an execution,